Hi everybody, and welcome to DnD Horror Stories with DnD Doge. In today's video, we have a story about a dungeon master using their Furry DMPC to ruin good rolls for a player in a game of Dungeons & Dragons. A story about a player that constantly derails a D&D game with their character's ambitions of creating a pirate crew, and much more. But before we get into those, a special message from Nipsey.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Meow.
How can you resist that face? But with that said, let's get into some D&D horror story cringe. Dungeon Master pulled some Deus Ex Machina crap on me with their OC. By Reddit user, Rammumst. For context, the Dungeon Master has some kind of cat original character based on Yuumi from League of Legends. That's basically the DM's fursona, or something like that. It follows the party around everywhere, and it is always talking about how it won't help the party in any situation, and that we should fix things ourselves. We were in a session, and I was trying to convince an angry mob of villagers that some guy was a terrible person, and that they did a lot of terrible stuff. I was one of their victims, and after like 4 checks of persuasion and deception, which mind you, I have a +8 in both, I got some really high rolls. I even used 2 luck points, and that guy got some really crappy rolls trying to defend himself. When the angry mob was about to attack this guy, this effing flying cat just appears out of nowhere, and without even having to roll anything, just convinced all of the extremely infuriated villagers that the guy was innocent and to just leave him alone. Then, the DM made me do a Constitution saving throw for my character to not fall asleep, because this cat is a god and it can simply do that. I told her that it was some really dumb Deus Ex Machina crap, considering that this cat always talked about not intervening with the party, because one day she won't be there to help us, and even then, it's still really unfunny and boring. She told me that if I didn't like it, I could just go, and I said that if she's gonna take constructive criticism so bad, then maybe I should leave. We continued to play for a while, and we were at a restaurant trying to leave without paying. I got the idea to use my invisible mage hand to get our plates full of hairs so we could leave without paying. A server came by, and I got a 28 intimidation check with a nat 20 about how I was going to sue them and all that jazz. We debated for a while about how that was a clear sanitation violation, and she admitted that I was right, but told me that even after the 28 intimidation check, and the restaurant knowing that they were wrong, that they still wouldn't give in. And what would have to be done in that case, calling the sanitation department, was not something she wanted to roleplay. The session then ended because everyone was quiet and didn't want to play after that BS. A few hours after that session ended, I got a message from the DM saying that she was kicking me out of the campaign. I don't know if I'm in the wrong here, and also wanted to vent this crap somewhere. I don't think the other players are going to keep playing that campaign, because it's boring as crap, and after the first session, 2 players already left, and in this 3rd session, I left. And me and another player, who literally never played a full session without having to go or coming in 3 hours late, are the only ones who make it fun, as the other players just make standard replies or stay silent. Well, in this case, it sounds like the DM did OP a favor by kicking them out. By the sounds of it, this campaign was destined to fail, if 2 players leaving after 2 sessions is any indication. That, and the Furry OC DMPC that basically has god powers in order to basically negate any roleplay that the players have that they roll well on, is really BS. My advice to OP would be to just forget about this game, and not be too salty about being kicked, because as I said before, that was probably for the best, and to maybe look for another game online with an actual competent DM. Let's move on to the next post. Kicked out 2 people for not showing up. Am I fair for this? By Reddit user FriendlyDuty3540. So, I put a lot of effort into this homebrew campaign. About 3 to 4 months of effort creating monsters, NPCs with full backstories, maps. I even have a whole wiki page full of this. I play with 3 friends of mine, but I wanted to play with a full party of 5 to 6 people. I ended up finding 2 players wanting to join who had said that they really wanted to try it. They've played Baldur's Gate, watched Lord of the Rings, and the whole ordeal. So fast forward, in just 6 months, we have only had 2 sessions. The plan going forward was to do every other Sunday in a month, so basically 2 times a month we would meet to play. Unfortunately, every Sunday we have tried to get together, these 2 new players always cancel an hour or even 10 minutes before. I understand real life comes before D&D. However, it's gotten to a point where my other players have expressed dissatisfaction and that they will be leaving if we can't keep the campaign going. I openly talked to my newer players about all of this, to which they said that they are fine going down to just once a month for an hour. I said that that wouldn't be fair to the other players who want to do twice a month and who have always kept their schedules open. I ended up just saying that I'm going forward and still doing every other Sunday, and I ended up politely kicking them out. Was I fair in the way I did this? I wanted to have a full party of players, but now I'm back down to 3. It is completely fair for OP to kick those new players out. OP told them what the plan was for playing sessions, and they were the ones that could not attend. Then, to tell OP that they would be okay with once a month for an hour is pretty presumptuous and self-centered, as they didn't even consider that the other players wanted to do twice a month for what I assume would be more than 1 hour. So, I will tell OP not to feel bad about the outcome, and to just continue the game with the player OP has, until they can find other players that would be more willing to set aside some time for the game. Let's move on. Player trying to create an NPC army by Reddit user Lil Elbows. First time Dungeon Master, playing with first time players. It's going fine, other than one of my players has decided his character is a ship captain looking to create a crew to go treasure hunting with. The treasure hunting has nothing to do with the campaign. It's a whole side quest they've seemed to come up with on their own. Their character isn't focused on the campaign at all, just wants to steal from everyone that looks rich, and only wants to search for things of value rather than clues to solve the mystery. More frustrating is that every single NPC interaction is them trying to recruit the NPC into his quote pirate crew, and talks to NPCs like he is their captain and they must do what he says. It doesn't matter if the person is a prison guard or a ghost, or the leader of their own band of hired guns. He's let me know that he's planning to become a necromancer and control all undead to build his crew, regardless of NPCs saying no. The issue is, my campaign has a lot of undead, and it's important to the mystery that they're solving. The other players are getting frustrated by being referred to as lower members of the non-existent crew, and are talking out of game about leaving this character for a different city on the map in order to focus on the campaign. This player has to be the center of every interaction, bosses everyone around, and is wasting so much time on trying to build a pirate crew that we are now 2 weeks behind in the campaign. I know I should talk to them, but I'm super awkward and new to this. I'm changing the campaign slightly next session so that the other players can port to a different city to continue working on solving the mystery, and this character can stay where they are if they want. It's making me feel burnt out. Any ideas on how to handle this? I've had to make every NPC just be mean or confused and say no over and over until the other party members force this character to walk away. Or I have to create some random loud crash nearby or sound of their transportation, leaving them behind. Now, I realize that OP stated that they can be a bit awkward when it comes to confrontation, but my advice would be to, above table, lay out all the issues they did in this post, then ask the player if they could play more into the campaign and just have the trying to build a pirate crew as a character quirk that comes up now and then, but not to the point that it derails everything else for the other players. Or you could even ask them to make a new character that would fit more with the campaign's theme that you are trying to run for everyone. Because as it sounds, everyone involved is new to D&D, and communication is key, especially when first starting out. Though, what would you all suggest OP do in this situation? Let's move on. Dungeon Master makes an impossible encounter. DMPC appears out of nowhere and saves the party. By Reddit user, Bisexual Tellery Girl. I was playing in an online D&D campaign at level 7. We had recently lost a player and were thus down to 3 players. We decided to take in another 2 to round out the party, and this story happened the first session we played with our new players. The party composition is as follows: a fighter, a cleric, a paladin, new player, warlock, new player, and druid, me. The party is traveling to a location we know the BBEG is keeping an important artifact at. Everything is going well until we get caught in a massive snowstorm. We can see, quite literally, only 5 feet in front of us, and lo and behold, we get attacked by something in the storm. Now, because the creature is using some sort of ranged attack, I think the DM said it was a tongue attack, we can't actually see the creature, and so we can't really attack it. We ask the DM if we can hear it, but he says the storm is too loud. So we roll initiative, and even though we try, we can't really get anywhere with this monster. Then, all of a sudden, my character takes 18d6 damage, with no save whatsoever. This is apparently because one of my magic items exploded. This drops me instantly, as my character's max HP had been reduced from 54 to 37 because of a nightmare hag. Fighter had also had his HP dropped from somewhere in the 80s to the 40s. The only people without dropped HP were Cleric, because she worshipped a god who protected her, which is weird because my druid also worshipped a god, and the new characters because they were, well, new. But alas, the 18d6 instantly drops my druid and was 1 point away from doing twice my max HP and just insta-killing me. Then, afterwards, Fighter has the same thing happen, except it's 24d6, and thus Fighter drops to 0. At this point, we're all kind of thinking, what the heck is this encounter? When the DM asks if we would like a certain blonde man to help us. This is referring to a DMPC with golden armor and blonde hair that the party has encountered before. He's a real cocky guy that no one in the party, both in and out of character, likes. We've met this DMPC a few times earlier, where he's basically just shown up and taunted us. The first time we met him, he actually killed my character with a breath weapon that did 48 damage, which was my max HP at the time, on a successful dex save. He hit me twice with the breath weapon, and thus instantly killed me. The DMPC then cast True Resurrection on me, and disappeared. The Dungeon Master later told me it's because he felt bad for me, as I was newer to D&D at the time. Back to the fateful day. We plead to the DM not to bring in the DMPC, but he does it anyway. The DMPC instantly kills the monster, heals everyone, and dispels the snowstorm. He also, for some reason, makes Fighter knocked out and invisible. And no matter how much detect magic I cast, we're not allowed to actually find Fighter. I later found out this DMPC is an overpowered anime character ported straight from the anime he came from. At this point, we end the session, and both our new players say that this isn't the right group for them, understandably. I speak to the DM alone after the session, and I ask what the heck that was, and what we were supposed to do to win the encounter. He just kinda says variants of, "I don't know, man," and "I forgot to look at your guy's max HP and abilities when prepping." I heard Fighter chewed him out after the session too. The good thing to come out of this is that we, the week after, started a new campaign with Fighter doing the DMing, as he is very experienced with it. And so far, we're having a great time. Warlock and Paladin even gave us another chance and joined the new game. Edit. After some Googling, I found out that the DMPC in question is Gilgamesh from Fate Zero. Ah, yet another DM that does DMPCs wrong. Definitely not a good first impression for those new players, and I fully understand them saying that this wasn't the game for them after all that. I'm in the camp that DMPCs can be good if done right. Just a character that the party runs into every now and then, and joining them for a quest sometimes can be a fun thing. You just gotta make sure that they aren't overpowered and outshine the players. Though this DM did the complete opposite and just used their DMPC as an overpowered Deus Ex Machina to get the party out of a no-win situation, and even going so far as making the DMPC antagonizing. Thankfully, it sounds like they switched who was DMing and started a new campaign that the new players can also enjoy. On to the next post. Joined a campaign, and the DM removed me before I even met the party because we weren't, quote, compatible. By Reddit user, Hurtlight. I had found a Theros campaign online that I wanted to join because I was interested in Theros as a setting, and because I liked Greek mythology. The Dungeon Master then had me interview with him over Zoom, which seemed like it went well, and he agreed to let me join the campaign. I made a monk/cleric for the god of destiny, with the Oracle supernatural gift, with the goal of helping an NPC get prepared for some sort of competition as an excuse for him to have left his monastery. This is where the problems seem to start, as the Dungeon Master asked me to expand the backstory of my character to 4 pages, and then told me that he wanted to change my character's motivation to be helping the NPC with something that he couldn't say over a letter. Obviously, I asked what that actually was a few times, as the DM wouldn't tell me initially. Eventually, the DM told me that the NPC's brother was kidnapped by a cult in the area, and that the NPC was worried, saying that would be putting a target on our backs. Okay, sure, I can understand that, but it felt weird to have to ask so much to get what he was changing my motivation to. Fast forward to the time we started the actual session, and I joined just in time for, quote, downtime. Great, sounds like a great opportunity to meet the party, except the DM starts me back at my monastery, and I have to travel to reach the city where the campaign actually exists in. Okay, that's fine. We got through that pretty fast. But then, it was revealed that the party had split up. 1 went to study at a library, and 2 went hunting with an NPC that 1 wanted to romance. So I decided to just head to the NPC and get the plot hook of their brother being kidnapped, which I gladly told them that I would try to help them find. After that, we went on break, and a little bit into the break, I got a message from the DM saying I was being removed from the campaign because we weren't, quote, compatible, which was strange to me because I had barely done anything except start the plot hook that he had set up for me, and hadn't even met another party member yet. I asked what the problem was since it was early, and I thought I could maybe pivot to fix it and continue playing in the campaign. But they refused to mention what the problem actually was, and then blocked me and kicked me from the server. I just cannot think of what the problem actually was, considering that I did only what they wanted me to do. Yeah, that is a bit odd. Like OP said, they were just doing what the DM laid out for OP to do with his character. Perhaps the DM decided last minute that he didn't want to run the game for that many players, and just decided to kick out OP last minute for no reason. It is kind of rude to have OP sit there while the other players did their thing, and not give OP the opportunity to roleplay with the other players, and then just last minute kick OP like that. That sounds like a flighty DM, and in the end, perhaps it was better for OP to not be part of that game in the long run. On to the next post. The DM that was too excited about pregnancy, by Reddit user Chance Department 3529. I need to preface this by saying that this story takes place in a Discord server, entirely over text. I am not comfortable roleplaying with my voice and face yet, so I prefer to do long-form written roleplay in the D&D setting and genre. This story takes place in a homebrew capital city that has taken its land from the surrounding nations. One of these nations has violent extremists hiding in the capital, like a secret society. Another important note is that magic is extremely rare, but extremely powerful in this universe. It operates on a system that requires an actual, real-life grind. Not fun sometimes, but very rewarding. I play a noble clergywoman who is very friendly and known to be, quote, wholesome. It all starts when I ask the DM if I can help progress the plot. He is excited to bring me into the fold. He says that my character will be kidnapped and tortured, as she is the ideal target, and that the other characters will come to save her. I am okay with this, and so it begins. My character is kidnapped and taken to a hidden location as a mage attacks her. Really awful things happen, things that the DM did not clear with me first, but I guess it was realistic enough. Nothing was explicitly described. My character was SA'd though, which is touchy for me. Then she is saved, and all is well, except the DM wants me to write her pregnancy. I was floored. I told the DM I was not comfortable writing that, and did not want it to be a character arc for her. He was insistent that, quote, it was what I signed up for. He was going to force it on me. Then he made me roll to see if she was pregnant. She wasn't, thankfully. I should have left here, but I was really hoping it was just a strange off-color moment. I don't think so. After that, we entered another scene where my character is in the infirmary, reeling from the shock. I decided to write that my character was suicidal, and the dungeon master decides to write his character giving mine a blade, which ended as anticipated. Then he started saying things along the lines of, "Rest in peace," in the out-of-character chat. I was a little shocked. He then began to explain to me that what my character did was unrealistic, and that he couldn't understand why she did it. Cue the rest of the server being mixed between confused and upset. He continued and said that all humans have a basic survival instinct. After a bit of arguing, he decided to have his character intervene, but not without commentary along the lines of, "But she shouldn't have to." I have been pretty inactive there since all of this happened. I probably shouldn't have stuck around after the pregnancy bit, but I really like some of the writers there, and the world is so rich. But I can't get past this. I can understand OP agreeing to have their character be kidnapped and have to be saved by the party as a way to introduce their character. But for the DM to then have OP's character have those things happen to her, to the extent that the DM wanted to force a pregnancy on the character, is a pretty big red flag, considering the DM didn't talk to OP about that aspect first. Then, for the DM to say it would be unrealistic for OP's character to be suicidal after that experience and even have his character give her a blade is really out of touch. The whole quote survival instinct argument doesn't really track because, well, people do that in real life. All in all, I think OP would be better suited finding a different roleplay server after this experience. Though, what do you guys think on this one? I'm legit curious. But that is all I have for you today. As always, I appreciate all of you, especially if you like and subscribe, and may your games remain horror story free. Until next time.